This is a rose that I made entirely out of wood. The stem is made out of walnut and the petals are made out of cedar. And I'm going to show you how I made it. So all my parts are roughly cut out on the laser on my P3. And I'm going to start out with the stem. And the stem is pretty easy. I just had to cut out the shape, and then I'm using my Dremel to make the stem more round and also just give it some texture. Really, the hardest part of this project is going to be making the rose petals, which again, I'm just cutting out the general shape on my laser, and then I'm going to make copies of that shape using a hand plane to turn this into really thin shavings that look like petals. And at this point, the petals are really dry and brittle, so I can't really work with them without them just snapping or breaking. So I'm going to soak the petals in some hot water just to make them more workable, more bendy. I unroll all of the petals and I let them dry a little bit just so that the hot glue will actually stick to them. And then I hot glue all the petals onto the rose stem that I made earlier. And this part takes a little bit of patience just because, like I was saying earlier, the petals are super fragile even after soaking them in water. So I gotta be really gentle putting them on so they don't just break. I decided I wanted a few leaves coming out of the rose stem, so I'm gonna do kind of the same process I did for the petals. I'm just gonna cut out the shape on my P3, and then I'm gonna make a couple of shavings to glue onto the stem. Finally, I also cut out a base for the rose to be attached to, and I lasered that out, drilled a hole in that for the stem to fit into, and then glued that into place. I've made these wooden roses in the past, but a lot more simplified version of them, just using hole saw bits and more traditional tools. So I'll link that video somewhere so those of you that don't have a laser can make one of these if you want. But I really like the way that the laser cut rose looks. It looks a lot more realistic, but let me know what you think.